Hello, welcome to the videos formerly known as Dark Mount Reviews. You might have noticed I rebranded my channel, so moving forward we're going to be known as Corelli Collectibles, and by we I mean me. It's just me. I don't know who we is. Yeah, disappeared for a while again. I got a little sick, and then I broke my rib, and pretty much on the mend from that stuff, so getting back into the swing of things, we left off last time doing Wild Tousai King, or Zyuoh King rather, and now we are taking a look at Tousai Zyuoh, who is a combination of Cube Rhinos, there's a Rhino, Cube Wolf, and Cube Crocodile. And it also comes with this massive trailer thing that you can use to stack cubes up in. It's kind of a transport situation going on, so you can throw some other cubes in there. Nothing stopping you from putting all your cubes in there if you really want to. So that's fun. Unfortunately, you can't really use this guy because the hinges on the bottom make it so he doesn't work. So you can kind of sit him on there like a hat. Good enough for me. And yeah, now he's pulling your whole crew. Unfortunately, there's also no way to really get these guys to sit anywhere, and yeah, this stuff's going to be getting tall, so you're going to be seeing some wall here and there, pardon me. Yeah, I mean, this is basically as good as you can do, is to just kind of plop them on there and hope they don't fall off at some point. But this is pretty much, short of a couple accessories and stuff like that, this is pretty much the entire line minus the repaints of the smaller auxiliary cubes, so that's fun. I don't mind it. I'm happy to have this line complete, and not because I'm happy to have it be over with like some other people. So setting all of that stuff aside and putting his trailer to the side, especially because he's pretty big himself, much larger than any of the normal standard cubes. But once you get that trailer in, then it's just unwieldy. So that's gonna chill off to the side, and that will come back in later. He does not really have much of a transformation per se. This bit comes off for some stuff later on down the road, but he pretty much is what he is. He's like a modified cube, I think is what the show called him. So he doesn't really do all that much. He's probably the least interactive part of this entire line, honestly, just because he's pretty much just a hunk of plastic and doesn't really have any kind of cube mode or animal mode distinct from each other. This is kind of both his cube and animal mode, and also parts for stuff later on, and there's very not much changes. So he is what he is. These guys, however, like all of the other cube animals, do transform. So you have Cube Wolf right here, pretty simple, and Cube Crocodile, who is also pretty simple, but I like these guys the same way I like the other ones. They're goofy, weird little cube animals. I mean, they look like big cubes that have animal parts on them, so if you're not into that aesthetic, you're still not going to like these. 4 videos in now, so, I mean, they are what they are. I enjoy them. Because this guy is so not interactive, it's probably the least enjoyable set overall, just because there's really only 2 of these guys versus like Zyuoh King or Zyuoh Wild. You are getting 3 different transforming parts versus this guy you're really only getting 2 transforming parts and then a static hunk of plastic that does a couple different things without really transforming. So if you're counting things up that way, but I also really like this guy's combined mode, so it kind of evens out for me. And speaking of that, there's not really all that much left to say about these guys, so I'm going to show off some comparisons of these guys, and then we will get into the combined mode. So here they are with as many of the other cube animals as I could fit into my review space at once, really. I could throw Tiger in there too, I guess. Yeah, so, I mean, they're the same size. They're all the same cube thing, except for big guy back here, who, again, is basically the same large chunk of plastic no matter what form he's in. So, take it or leave it. I take them. So before I even get into the main actual official transformation combination situation, there is one thing I do want to mention, because I feel like a lot of people do not mention it and don't really talk about it, but in terms of this entire line, it's not canon to the show, and from what I understand, if you watch the movie that it's from, it doesn't even necessarily make sense. But if you do own the auxiliary Cube Condor, that I will be probably reviewing later as a standalone thing, one cool thing that you can do is use it... Well, I'm not going to go, you know how these cubes work, so... Use it in its cube mode, or combination mode rather, with cubes 7 and 8 to form a new 3-cube mecha that you can display or have along with the other guys. So that basically means you're using up everything except this guy and Cube Whale, who we haven't gotten to yet. But if that is something you're interested in, it is something you can do. There's nothing stopping you at all, although it might not make sense in terms of the canon of the show. But it is an option if you would like it. And obviously you can mix and match those in any other way that you would see fit if you prefer some other combination there. So with these guys back in their cube modes and Cube Rhinos back in his not really a cube mode at all mode, really the only thing that you're doing is bringing the big hunkin' trailer part here back into the situation, picking this whole thing up, disconnecting this, flopping this down onto the back, moving these down, making sure that they're like this so they can connect onto there to form a waist. And then you have kind of this shell of a man. And then you're going to take this, and you want to pop these out so they're kind of like a alligator head weapon arm thing, like so. And then this is going to plug straight onto the top, like so. And then this little bit is going to flap down to reveal his head. And then you're going to take this part that we took off, the rhino horn, and you're going to figure out how to orient it so that the fist is correctly aligned with the rest of the arm. And then you have Tousai Zyuoh. And the last of the cube animals, Komori, I believe his name is, he's the little bat, can become a boomerang weapon, or a sword or something. I'm pretty sure it's a boomerang. I think it's actually called the Komori boomerang. Can become a boomerang weapon that he can wield. Obviously, as with any of the cube weapons, any of them can hold any of them, but they kind of are designed to work with certain ones in terms of the way that the show worked, and also just in terms of the sizing. I mean, one of the little 3 mecha guys can hold this, but it looks kind of ridiculous. I mean, these all look ridiculous, but it looks even more ridiculous than normal for this line. Yeah, so here he is in his Tousai Zyuoh combined form. And here he is with the other mecha in the line in their kind of tinier forms. Sorry, it's hard to get all these guys into a single shot because they're kind of bulky. So he's definitely taller, but not really by much. I mean, he's not huge. It's all of the base transformations in this series are all kind of around this size, and then once you start combining them up, that's when they get really nuts, which is why when you go and compare this with Wild Tousai King, then suddenly you're back in a situation where this guy is actually smaller than the, I guess this is 9. Well, yeah, it'd be 9 because these count. Yeah, so that's 3 mecha versus 9 mecha, so obviously there should be a little bit of a difference there. But I still think they look cool together. But then again, I am a fan of this line, so I'm going to say that about everything. And here he is in his Tousai Zyuoh form with Doubutsu. And here's all of them together for what it's worth. Let's see if I can get them all visible, or at least quasi-visible at once. Oh, these guys are so bulky. So fat. So fat, mecha. Yeah. They're hefty guys. So in proper Sentai fashion, these guys can combine with each other as well. This guy with these guys, and also all of them together. So we're going to take a look at both of those. Dodekaio is going to be his own review, because that just makes the most sense. So we're going to be looking at these two combined, and then looking at this guy in his combined form, and then we will be done with Zyuohger. So when it comes to combining these, it's pretty much just a giant disassemble all of the cubes and then put them back on in a different order kind of way. Tousai Zyuoh stays pretty much the same throughout that process. It is mostly all of the cubes themselves that kind of reassemble and end up in different places than they would normally be in. So what you're going to do first is start with the two feet cubes from both Zyuoh King and Zyuoh Wild. Or Zyuoh King and Zyuoh Wild. And then 3 is going to go on the same side as Yellow here, who you're actually going to fold up his crocodile mouth so he's just a cube hand. You're going to put Yellow on this side by connecting it down on these feetsies below. Green on this side, like so. And then you're going to take all of these cube animals and you're going to start connecting them to the side. So you have Bear, and then, let me see, Mogra, Komori. You are technically supposed to have the bat sticking off to the back like that, but I'm not a huge fan of that, so I actually use the joint right there to kind of wrap it around the leg, just so it's a little less sticking out all over the place. And then the last one that you need is Kieran. Like so. And then once you have all of that stuff in place, you're going to take off the tiny little baby hand, take off this whole situation, fold that back up, and attach that to the other side as the other hand. And then you're going to take the large sword bit, and you're going to use the clip on the back to clip that in like so. That will become his kind of arm weapon thing. Then you're going to take the, whatever this is called, big wild cannon thing, put all this back together, excuse me, and then using the clip that's on this side, I'm going to hook that on so he's got his sword arm and his gun arm. And then what you want to do is take white, put it up here, blue, put it up here, red gorilla back here on the farther back set of clips, and red eagle up here on the further front. And then finally you're going to take this part that was the arm and was the horns, and that's actually going to become his head. For Wild Tousai King. Yes, Wild Tousai King. This line really is just truly ridiculous. So this is another one of those situations where if you don't like the cube aesthetic, if you don't like what they're doing, if it bugs you that there's like weird feet on the back of his feet, that stuff's going to annoy you, and it's still here, and sorry. But everything else about this I really enjoy. I think he's big and bulky and kind of ridiculous looking, and his big cube forearms with the little hands are just goofy. I mean, yeah, he's like standing on, he's got like cube geta, so I don't know what that's about. Maybe he's like a, I don't know, geisha fighter or something. Who the hell knows with these designs? They're usually pretty wacky, and this is really no exception. I enjoy it, but I think this is so far down the line of personal preference and acquired taste that I don't even know how to say whether or not I recommend this or not. I mean, you're gonna know whether or not you should buy this a lot more than I know whether or not you should buy this, because maybe you hate this, and I can't speak to that, because I really do love it. I love this whole line. This is actually my favorite combination in the line. I don't dislike the next one with Dodokayo, but it actually leaves out this whole trailer part, this gun, that sword, and also this head part. So it's a bit unfortunate that you end up with a lot of stuff left over. But the good part of that is this combination right here and Dodokayo, and you're not missing out on anything. Nothing is left over at all. The only things that you have left over are Cube Octopus, and if you've got it... sorry. Cube Condor are the only parts left over that you have to worry about. And if you have the repainted versions of these guys, then you have those left over, I guess. But I'm fine with that. This is how I'm probably going to display this line, and I'll just combine those into their larger form for fun, because I really do prefer this overall everything being used kind of situation to having a whole mess of stuff left over. So, but we will see. That will be the next review when I take a look at Cube Whale, his robot form here, Dodokayo, and the combination with all of this stuff together minus this big hunk, Wild Tousai King. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming up shortly. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.